Tom Lawrence. So
Hello.
I feel a very special kinship toward you. I have liked you since moment one. I think you are my people. But on top of just having a genuine affinity right out of the gate, the very first time that I ever went live ever on any platform was with you. We,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we went live here showing us the fall 24 collection in December. And we ran it by you like, hey, do you mind if we go live and we can put this information out to our peeps? And I think we had 5 people show up, and you
hmm
were like the coolest cucumber of all time. You just talked for like 2 hours with such authority and such knowledge, and it was such an absolute joy getting to participate in that. That to have you on now on like a next level for us is just especially heartwarming for me. So thank you for being
Yeah.
here.
Well, thank
So
you. It was fun in the store for sure.
it was so fun. I hope to do it again. I can't wait till we
Yeah.
see what will be next. We already seen spring 24. You'll
Spring.
come back.
Yeah.
Okay,
We can
spring
talk
25.
shortly after this. Yeah, Spring
Yes.
25.
Yeah, gosh, that's crazy to think about. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all your energy and your information and you're a wealth of knowledge. I'm so grateful to have you here. I'm hoping you can kind of give our viewers a bit of history, like your personal history on how you got started with Toad and Company and what your personal journey has been.
Well, sure. I mean, I guess in most of my adulthood, I found my way early to outdoor recreation as being my profession. And for about 20 years, I've been a independent manufacturer's rep. And for about the last 12, I've been based in this part of the country we call the Great Lakes East. And I'm based out of Michigan. I moved back to Michigan from the Pacific Northwest about a dozen years ago, and would put out my own shingle. And I was very fortunate when I moved back here that a brand like Toad&Co became available, and they had some courage and they hired me. So I have to say, I really enjoyed working with them. Um, and out of the various brands I've worked for over the years, it's I just so much thoroughly enjoyed working with them. The culture of the brand, the people with the brand, the ownership team. It's a privately held company, the management team, everybody through the process, design and development. So I feel like I'm in a really fortunate position to have come on board with them almost a dozen years ago and having a blast.
Oh, that's wonderful. I was wonderful. And yeah, I would agree. My experiences with them directly have been very limited but positive.
hmm
And what I know through what you've shared, really illuminates the good parts of the business. And it can be such an ugly industry. So to have a
Yeah.
feeling of, joy and honest, to know that there are companies out there with this kind of integrity is really encouraging. I
hmm
need to pause for a moment because there are a couple things that I should have said before I jumped into asking you questions. I was just so excited to talk to you. But I want to mention for our viewers that Jason, my husband, is here. He also is sick, so he might be excusing himself here and there to run in the back and cough, so that's not on camera. But he's here because that man shows up no matter what. And he can see when people are entering the room and if comments are coming in. But we only know, or he can only see that people are coming in. He can't see who's here unless you chime in and give us a hello. Just put a little something in your comment bar so that we know that you're here. Don't be shy to ask Tom questions. And for those of you who are new to what we're doing here with this video podcast, historically we've kind of jumped right into a live selling event, and now we're doing things differently. So with Tom here tonight, the format will be a little different in that we're just going to have a conversation for a little while so that you guys can learn about the brand before we dive into live selling, which will be on the latter half of this. So stay with us. It's coming. We're going to have discounts. It's going to be fun. But right now, I feel like there's so much information that we need about Toad & Co. that we'll kind of jump back in. So, um, here at Afterglow Market, as you know, we are focused on sustainable fashion, which is what drew us to Toad and Company in the first place. And I know what I like about their initiatives in sustainability, but you've got a deeper look and you've had years of experience with them. Can you tell us what they're doing in the name of sustainability and the practices that you are most impressed with?
Yeah, sure. That's one of the benchmarks of the brand. They kind of have three pillars they stand on. One is to just be a fun, quirky outdoor clothing company that's really bridged our fashion over to everyday as well. They consider themselves the original trail to tavern brand in the outdoor industry because we make clothing to wear every day. But when it comes into the sustainability, the eco fabric is definitely one of the other benchmarks for the company. So I was kind of doing a little bit of research leading up to this, and just to hit on a couple of things that are fairly new for us getting there this year. This is the first season we're finally 100% plastic free. So we're shipping. Yeah, I know. And I know when we started our relationship last summer, that was something that you wanted. And I think you might have even demanded at the time. And I said, give us a little time. We're getting there. And now we're there. So we use FSC certified paper bags and no more poly bags. And FSC is the Forest Stewardship Council. And it's out there setting just responsible standards in forest management. So that's a big deal. We're also starting to work with organic, with cotton farms that are in transition to being organic, where they've gone through a lot of what they had to go through, but they might not be certified organic yet, but they've been using organic practices and just got to get over the goal line for the certification. So it helps encourage more of these growers, to move in the organic direction. It's referred to as organic cotton in conversion. Right now, 61% of the synthetic fabrics that we're using are coming from recycled sources. And I will say 80% of the content of Toad&Co, a minimum of 80% of the content comes from eco or sustainable sources. So that means sustainable fibers. And if we can't use like an organic cotton or recycled poly in something or another plant-based fiber that we work with, we make sure any of those virgin sources like a virgin poly or nylon are hitting standards that hit like the Okotex standard 100 or is Blue Sign certified. Because again, that has to do, I guess, more with best practices because it's about energy conservation and more limited water use, the less caustic chemicals. We move away from opportunities to use certain fabrics that have a lot of chemical treatment to them to get them where they are to make the conversion or get the softness or what have you. Power usage is a big part of it, and certainly with Blue Sign, humanity comes into it, making sure it's safe and fair working environments as well.
Love every word of that. Every word. I think it speaks a lot to the character of the people who are seeing this through because, I think every company now has something they want to say about sustainability. When you look at almost any company's website, there's a whole section on sustainability, and there's a lot of nice words, and sometimes they're really meaningful. But you guys really go the extra mile and back that up with actual certifications, like because there's so little regulation. Like anybody can say anything is green, anything is eco, this is better for the planet,
Mm-hmm.
but Toad really goes above and beyond, gets the certifications, gets the regulation when they can. It speaks
Mm-hmm.
volumes, and it's really encouraging. Hopefully, other companies start to follow suit. Um, you also touched on the bags, which I thought was really cool. As I was making my notes, that
Yeah.
obviously we had a strategy call prior to this, and we talked about a number of different ways that Toad is doing the right thing, but we didn't talk about the bags, and it was on my list to bring up, and you beat me to it that
Oh,
I won't share with our viewers, when we first, got started, Tom mentioned like that was one of the things to check off on my box was an absence of plastics. And he was very upfront and said, I can't guarantee it will be now, but I can guarantee it will be by 2024. And sure enough, as we began ordering, when we first got started, it was probably 60-40, 60% of those
Mm-hmm.
recycled paper bags, which be the dub, I save and I use them on my outgoing shipments. So if anyone places an order tonight it will fit in one of those bags. I've got a stack of them. So not only is it recycled, it's also
Great.
being used and it's recyclable. So if you
Mm-hmm.
can't reuse it, put it in the recycling. But the 40% at the time that were not the bag were plastic. And they said on the bags, we know this bag sucks. And here's what we're doing about it. And here's
Yeah,
what we
right.
can do with the bag so that it is not a one-time use plastic. And I was just so touched by that. Like really, truly at the heart of everything this company does is Mother Earth. And same. So to find a company that resonates in that way, it's beautiful and wonderful. And I'm so appreciative, and our customers are so appreciative. It's wonderful. It's not only the plastic bags, it's the absence of plastics in like the hang tags, where a lot of companies will use a tagging gun to
Mm-hmm.
attach a little one-time piece of plastic. None of that. This is like a piece of biodegradable, I don't know, some kind of twine. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's awesome. Very, very impressive and very appreciated. Thank you.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so there's other initiatives I know within the company. They've recently launched Toad Again, which I feel
yep.
like you'll do a better job explaining than me. What is Toad Again?
I can try. It's fairly new for them. I mean, the initiative has been in the works for a while, but it really kicked off in 2023 in a bigger way, and they opened their facility, or well, their retail store associated with it. I think it was this spring. It might have been a year ago. But it's called Toad Again, and it's to keep things circular. So when you're feeling like your life with this piece of Toad&Co clothing might be finished up, we want it to land somewhere else. We hope you'll take the initiative to figure out who's going to get passed along to you. Whether it is through Toad Again. So basically, what we're doing is we set up a facility in Portland, Maine, where we can do, professional washing. We can do repair work. Um, and we can make sure to give it a little more life so we can keep it out of the landfill. Hold on just a second. I am going to shut down. There we go. My email, so I don't have that background noise coming again. But it's really about keeping the garment in the cycle with the ability for people to be able to wear it. So it is a resale thing, and it's something where a consumer who wants to sell their old Toad&Co can go to Toad Again. And I think, what was the name of your program as well? Is
Renew.
it Renew? Right. So it's probably similar, where you get an opportunity on the Toad Again site or with Renew to get a store credit against turning this piece in, and then we'll resell it again on Toad Again. We do let consumers put up their own to sell, so you can either sell it yourself or turn it into Toad for a credit and have us sell it. And we do repairs and such. So we've been involved with another program prior to this, and the juices were already flowing with Toad to create their own. And they had experimented with this up at their Freeport, Maine store. So we have a Toad&Co store in Freeport, Maine. If any of you have been out there, it's a really fun store to shop at. And then down the road in Portland is where we set up the facility for Toad Again.
So cool. And as you were telling me that, I had a marketing idea for the powers that be at Toad. They could market it, unload your Toad. When you're done with your
Oh,
old
yeah,
Toad,
right,
and then we'll buy it from
right.
you. I love that. I
So
love it so much.
So
Oh, go ahead.
funny story, because as a rep I end up with a lot of the clothing, because I like to get stuff that's seasonal, so I'll refresh the line, and some of that the time I'll take my old stuff to a local thrift shop, a place, a donation center. There happens to be one in my community that supports early childhood education, so they're my preferred donation place here where I live in Michigan. And one of my friends who works at the local food co-op, we were chit chatting, and he's like, "Hey, I found these cool pieces of clothing," because he and his wife would go shopping a little and then do some resale on their own, and they scrounge around. And then he's like, "I found some Toad&Co." And then he looks at me and he's like, they were extra large. And he's like, "Those were yours, weren't they?" So, it's just keeping the life cycle of these garments and keeping them out of the landfill is a huge goal for us. And it should be really for the industry.
Yeah, agreed. And I will say there's a lot of cause for hope because it feels like the momentum for um, reusing, repurposing, and recycling textiles, and
Yep.
people, getting the message that these textiles don't belong in landfills. We've got to find something else to do. Um,
Hmm.
and the importance of using materials that will biodegrade at the end of their life. Like, we understand you can't wear something in perpetuity, but when it's at the end of its life, then what? And it's so wonderful to know that companies are thinking in these terms, and that the consumers are asking for it. It's really awesome,
Hmm.
and I'm I'm heartened by the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um,
We have a couple
oh
comments.
yeah.
So Annie and Cole are actually, I don't know if they're still on the line.
Hi, Annie.
So
And then also Kimmy said she loves the idea of totegens.
oh, good. Well, okay. Hi, Kimmy. Thank you for coming. Kimmy has become one of my favorites to have on the show. We started our relationship through Poshmark and have moved it over here,
Oh,
and it's been a really fun, like, sort of bringing the Poshmark people over to AGM has been a really fun journey. Um, Annie and Cole, if you're still watching, I look at this. Look what I can do.
I would do the same. Yep.
Yep. Okay, so for people who aren't Annie and Cole, a bit of background. Tom reps for many, many stores across the Midwest, and lives in Michigan. Or I also happen to have a sister and brother-in-law who I am crazy about, and they have been talking to me actually. Before we even opened the business, we went to visit them, and they took us all around their town called Charlevoix. And one of the stores they were most excited to show me is a place called the Clothing Company, right there on the main drag, where they carry all kinds of really great outdoor gear, including Toad and Company.
Yep.
So we got to see them before we even opened, and since then they have developed a friendship with Annie and Cole own the company. They're the third generation owners. So we were just there last weekend, and my sister and brother-in-law said, "Hey, why don't we have them over to dinner one night?" And we did, and we showed up with our kids, and everybody was tired, and they had to do bedtimes. It was not the kind of bonding experience that I had hoped for, but it was still awesome. And I was like, we should take a picture and send this to Tom, because he's the uniting factor in all of this. So yeah, if anyone happens to be in Michigan, specifically Charlevoix, and you're in the market for some new clothes, check out the Clothing Company. They are excellent. They're sweet people. They've got great stuff. I was there a couple days ago and bought 2 pairs of earrings, and it was just a great little, like, the whole community is awesome, and their store is A plus. So fun. Thanks for coming, you guys. Um, one more thing I want to kind of talk about regarding Totem Company's positive impact on the world around them, and then we'll kind of jump into the live selling part.
Hmm.
They have a program specifically for adults with disabilities, and I don't know a lot
Yes.
about it, but I know that you do. Will you
I
enlighten
could,
me?
yeah, I can hit some notes. So Gordon, who's our, I guess, so Gordon bought the company, bought Toad&Co. when it was Horny Toad, and incorporated it into Horny Toad Activewear back in 1996. We were based in Chicago for a while, until they moved to where they are now in Santa Barbara. And I think, my recollection of listening to him talk about this when I onboarded with the company a dozen or so years ago was that part of his goal as an entrepreneur and owning a successful business was to have a really strong give back program. so that we could impact more lives in a positive way. So we take a portion of our sales and it donates somewhere out into any number of different communities. But the first initiative he started was working with adults with developmental disabilities. So he teamed with an organization while we were based in Chicago called Search Incorporated that helps with these programs. And we've done a lot of initiatives with Search. So, currently, Planet Access Company is one of them. And we operate, Planet Access Company is a retail store that we helped launch with Search in the Chicago area that trains and employs adults with developmental disabilities. So that's one of the bigger parts of the program. We also have a program called Search for Adventure, which of course we're teaming with Search Incorporated. And this is about facilitating trips and vacations with these adults as well. Whether it be hiking on the Appalachian Trail or a dude ranch out in Colorado. That's a pretty big deal. A number of years ago, the national park system turned 100 years old, and Toad&Co had an initiative to get a minimum of 1,000 adults with disabilities out for a day of adventure through the park system. And we teamed with another organization called Wilderness Inquiry and the National Park Foundation and got over 1,200 people out for a day of adventure, which included interpretation of the local area where the event was being held, and then getting into these big canoe mobiles where we could put about 10 people into a canoe and everybody could have a paddle. And I took part in one in Michigan, and it was awesome. Couple others to hit on, and these are ones that are I would say maybe newer in our programs, but that we think they'll be very impactful. One is a visibility arts program, working with artists and trying to have events and help channel some sales. A disability awareness training program. And here I'm just going to read a little on that, but I know I got to keep it brief. But a team of people who have disabilities themselves are engaging with the audience in a fun interactive workshop to build comfort and confidence interacting and communicating with people that have disabilities. So I recall when we early on we entered that program, this came to one of our sales meetings. This program came to our sales meetings, and we had a really great disability awareness training. So I mean, kind of that's a big part of what we're doing, and it's been there since the late 90s. So it's ongoing, 25 plus years, and it's a big rewarding commitment from the brand.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, you work with dozens of brands, and I'm sure each of them has a good story to tell. But
Mm-hmm.
from what I've seen, in like a general sort of like shopping mall type place, you don't hear this kind of thing. Like there's just not the give back that is as hands on as this, and it's amazing. This is why we've chosen you. This is why there is so much Toad and Company. We've got
Yeah.
a huge tray of stuff to go through tonight, and it's just the stuff that's come out in the last few weeks. There's also tons still from. It's just from previous, more coming. It's a lot. We go hard with you guys on purpose. It's a great company. I love it.
That's why I feel it's really rewarding for me to be working with them.
Good.
I get a lot out of working for a brand like this. That's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Every piece tells a story. The brand itself has a story. It's wonderful. Thank you for sharing all of it with us.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss anything? Is there anything else that you feel like we should touch on that we didn't?
I kind of made some notes, and we've ticked off a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
We were talking about Toad again, and and I know in our build up to tonight, we were talking a little bit about that circular fashion. The idea that we kind of have this guideline we follow that goes from resources to design to production to stores to consumers, and the underlying stuff in there is we want to focus on recycling, reusing, reselling, and the ability, to potentially repair. And that repair component is part of our Toad&Co, or I'm sorry, part of the Toad Again program that we more recently launched. Because that whole idea of the circular economy is just keeping the life cycle, extending the life cycle as long as possible as we can with the products that we make.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's really, it's encouraging. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of it. And thank you to the people at Toad and Company for putting these plans into action. And, you know, we've been partnered for such a short time, but in that time, there's already been goals spoken and achieved. And I'm sure that they're going to continue to improve. Like
Yep.
very early on, it was the goal to eliminate plastics. Done. Check. Now
Yeah.
they've moved on to a goal of minimum 80% eco fabrics. Check. And I will say,
Yeah.
based on what I see here in the store, the percentage is far higher than that on what I'm seeing come through here.
Mm-hmm.
And to have these goals in place to, um, add repairs to the Toad and Co. And I'm sure that's a big
Yeah.
check. Will be soon. Like it's great. Well done.
Yeah.
Bravo. Thank
And
you.
yeah, and I mean, they have a goal to get to 100% recycled at some point in the near future. And until they get there, that's why we follow these certifications of Okotex or Blue Sign. And, final interesting thing on the whole thing with our goal to achieve 100% organic cotton. As soon as we hit that goal, it shifted a little bit because then we started getting more into recycled content. And so all of a sudden we were at our 100% organic cotton, but we launched a recycle program that also includes cotton. So it's really fun to work with them and see the vision that they have and continue to tweak as
So
we
nice.
move ahead and reach our goals.
Yeah. Do you want this good choice or that good choice? There's some combination of
Yeah,
what sort of cancer causing whatever sort of thing I can't
yeah,
pronounce.
right. And that's a big part of what the Okotex standards and Blue Sign certifications are there for, because that deals a lot with the chemicals that can be used and the ability to test for them. So they're, maybe as much as anything, they might be watchdogs on that, for those companies that want to work to those standards.
Nice. I love it.